So, Apple Thursday.
I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. Lots of children have no fear.
color. I was talking to my makeup artist, Deja, who's also openly trans, yesterday, and I told her, and when I started transitioning medically in 1998, that violence, that this was a reality in my life in 1998, that there were trans people being murdered all around me, and this insane fear, will I be next? I remember going to a memorial for Amanda Milan, a trans woman who was murdered in the early 2000s here in New York City. She was stabbed outside of the Port Authority, and for my entire life as a trans woman, for 21 years, I have been hearing about, witnessing, going to memorials, going to trans days of remembrance, and the trauma of that is, I don't actually even have words for the trauma of that. And I think about just Black people in general who have watched our people be murdered in the streets and the collective trauma of that. And I disassociate it from it so much because it's too much. It is way too much. And we live in a culture that consistently stigmatizes trans people, tell us that we aren't who we say we are. When I read the Alliance Defending Families brief on this Amy Stevens case, they bent over backwards to not use female pronouns to refer to Amy Stevens. There is this insistence in misgendering her. And what underlines most of the discrimination against trans people is the insistence that we are always and only the gender we were assigned at birth, that we're somehow fraudulent. And when we have an administration, we have government policies that continually stigmatize us, it makes it okay for the person on the street who sees a trans person and decides that we should not exist anymore. And it is just, I'm really at a loss because I know it's intersectional. I know that it's about employment. I know it's about healthcare. I know it's about homelessness and having access to all of these things to keep us out of harm's way that so many of us don't have access to. The unemployment rate in the trans community is 3 times the national average, 4 times that for trans people of color. The majority of us make less than $10,000 a year. And so when you cannot make a living, you find yourself in street economies, you find yourself homeless. That makes you more of a target of violence. And so there's so many things that we have to do as a culture to end this violence. And we showing up tomorrow at the Supreme Court, letting your friends and family know that it is not okay to discriminate against trans people, that when we are living our lives, so many times just walking down the street as a Black trans woman, people saw it as some sort of affront to them when men would find themselves attracted to me because I was walking down the street, and they would get upset about that. I talked a lot about Alon Nettles' case, and she was just walking down the street, a Black trans woman in 2013, and 2 men catcalled her, realized she was trans, and beat her until she died. We should not be killed simply for being who we are. We deserve civil rights. We deserve to be able to work and to live and to thrive.
cannot, it's very difficult to sit here and listen to arguments in the long history of this country of using scripture and weaponizing and using scripture to justify bigotry. White supremacists have done it. Those who justified slavery did it. Those who fought against integration did it. And we're seeing it today. And sometimes, especially in this body, I feel as though if Christ himself walked through these doors and said what he said thousands of years ago, that we should love our neighbor and our enemy, that we should welcome the stranger, fight for the least of us, that it is easier for a rich man, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into a kingdom of heaven, he would be maligned as a radical and rejected from these doors. And I know, and it is part of my faith, that all people are holy and all people are sacred unconditionally. And that is what makes faith sometimes, that's what prompts us to transform, because it is unconditional. It's not about that it is up to us to love parts of people. We love all people. There is nothing holy about rejecting medical care of people, no matter who they are, on the grounds of what their identity is. There is nothing holy about turning someone away from a hospital. There's nothing holy about rejecting a child from a family. There's nothing holy about writing discrimination into the law. And I am tired of communities of being of faith being weaponized and being mischaracterized, because the only time religious freedom is invoked is in the name of bigotry and discrimination. I'm tired of it. My faith commands me to treat Mr. Minton as holy because he is sacred, because his life is sacred, because you are not to be denied anything that I am entitled to. That we are equal in the eyes of the law, and we are equal in my faith in the eyes of the world. And so I just have to get that out ahead of time, because it is deeply disturbing, not just what is happening here, but what this administration is advancing is the idea that religion and faith is about exclusion. It is not up to us. It is not up to us to deny medical care. It is up to us to feed the hungry, to clothe the poor, to protect children, and to love all people as ourselves.